And welcome back to our special election debate for District 40, the state senate in Tallahassee. I want to turn our attention to another topic that's very important here, guns, and SB 140. This is a bill. Go ahead.
I just wanted to respond to the education.
Okay. All right. Yes, I did tell you I was going to give you a chance to. Okay. So go ahead. Just a couple of seconds here, so we can get on to some other topics.
I just want to say that the Gardner Scholarship, as you brought up, absolutely, that is something that we should be doing. But I challenge you to put it as a standalone bill. Those are the ways to get these things funded, not to do it in the night, in the darkness, and then putting all these things into this bill that turned it into a bad bill that, like I said, even the school board is against.
Okay, we're going to move on. SB 140. This has to do with guns. This is a bill that died in committee, but we've been told that we're likely to see it revisited at some point in the legislature. This is a bill that would allow for open carrying of handguns for those who already have concealed weapons permits. It would allow those permit holders to carry guns into elementary schools, secondary schools, public colleges, university campuses, airport passenger terminals, legislative meetings, and other places. So let me turn to you, Representative Diaz. If this bill is brought back to life, would you support it, and why?
Well, there were a lot of elements that were just presented that are not instructive to the bill. I mean, it was a bill that had to do specifically with open carry. That is something that's passed in other states. There are limited ways of having open carry where somebody who is a concealed license holder does not have to worry about an inadvertent flashing of their weapon leading to any sort of arrest. That was the intent of the legislation. I think there were many bills or many different ideas that were combined towards the end of session, but that bill never had any real likelihood of passage because of it being such a train. And to the challenge that I was just given by Ms. Tadeo, challenge accepted. I've actually, for the last 7 years, served in the Florida legislature and chaired the Commerce Committee and the Regulatory Affairs Committee. And one of the simple rules of the committee that I controlled, because I don't control education, was specifically disallowing trains from happening. I do believe that ideas should be carried singularly in single subjects in conformance with our Constitution.
Mr. Tadeo, on SB 140 and guns, would you support this bill, and why?
No, that is a clear difference between my opponent and myself. I would not support it, and I think that, frankly, in light of what happened in Orlando, in the club and everything, I think that we need to be much more cognizant of the issue of guns and people carrying guns, and certainly to carry guns into a school or any institution like a university, I am completely against, and I think this is a huge mistake. And obviously, there's a great deal of influence from the NRA and funding, like it is in a lot of our politics, but that's exactly, why I'm running. I think we need somebody that is going to represent the people and not all those moneyed interests.
The balance of power in Tallahassee, the winner of this seat, no matter who wins, is not going to alter that. We will still have Republicans in control of the state House, Republicans in control of the state Senate, Republicans in control of the governorship. So given that fact, Ms. Tadeo, what would you tell critics who say that the voters of District 40 might be better served with a Republican representing them in the state capitol, who could then work more closely with the majority to get things done?
Well, I'll give the perfect example. We are obviously arguing a lot about HB 7069 for education. It passed by one vote in the Senate. Like I said, it was something that was done in the darkness. We are supposed to be a sunshine state. So there are lots of votes where we need people who are actually going to vote for us and represent us. The influence of money, and we have gotten, I mean, he's been there for a long time, and he has been part of the establishment. The fact that we have lobbyists such as yourself representing the people is absolutely not what we need. We need to have more voices of people that know what it's like to pay the taxes and then raise the taxes on us, and everything that happens that we just feel that we don't have a voice in Tallahassee. So I think it's time that we have more representation from different sides of the table.
I'm going to have to cut you off, Representative Diaz. Others would say that it's necessary to have a check on Republican power, that there should be more diversity in voices when it comes to making sure that there are bipartisan solutions to the issues facing Floridians. What do you say?
I say that if that's the case, then I'm the right person for this position. There's nobody that's more bipartisan in Tallahassee than me. I've had the honor and privilege of serving this community as chair of the Dade delegation for the past 2 years and vice chair for 4 years. I've brought our delegation together, Republicans and Democrats, and the legislation that I've sponsored in Tallahassee has been pragmatic, like working on child abuse reform. I sat on the board of a foster care agency. That was a bipartisan issue. Condo legislation to reform the way that people live in their homes. Over 6 million people live in some sort of association, and unfortunately the laws did not protect them. So if you want somebody that has a record of working in a bipartisan fashion, it's better to elect me in this position because I have that proven track record. Now, there were some accusations. I think a finger was pointed at me as I was referred to as a lobbyist.
Quickly, please.
I am a lawyer. I'm a land use lawyer in Miami-Dade County, and I was a land use lawyer before I ran for office. I've done a very good job of representing the interests of my community. I've passed some really good legislation. So for that to be accused, I think is not only inappropriate, I think it's unfair.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off there. We're going to have to take another quick break. When we come back, one of these two candidates has been fired by the president. We'll tell you who as we talk about the current administration when we come right back.